All right, good afternoon and welcome. I am Councilmember Jason Dozier. I'm the chair of the Community Development and Human Services Committee. I will go ahead and call the CDHS committee to order. I am joined by fellow council members to my right, Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, to my left, Councilmember Dustin Hillis, and Councilmember Jason Winston. I'll accept the motion to adopt the agenda. Motion by Hillis, second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. It will be 5 yeas and 0 nays.
Motion to adopt the 5 yeas and 0 nays. I do want to acknowledge Councilmember Matt Westmoreland has joined us as well. The next item, approval of minutes. I will make a motion to approve minutes. Can I get a second? Second by Bakhtiari. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
Motion carries 5 yeas, 0 nays. We have been joined by Councilmember Byron Amos. All right, next item is public comment. Our first public speaker, Ms. Henry Jordan. Ms. Jordan, please come to the podium.
Give now to the Spirit of God, everyone that is here. And all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree, have dried up the green tree, and made the dry tree to flourish. I, the Lord, have spoken and have done it. Ezekiel 17, chapter 24, verse. Yet he will take a branch, one of the Davidic line, and plant it upon a high mountain, reestablish the kingdom of Israel. God has brought down the tree, the high tree, James Griff, in many ways, even death. Where in time past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Ephesians 2nd chapter, 2nd verse. The course of this world, the word course signifies all the tendencies, thoughts, pursuits, deeds, and soon that characterize the present period of history. Of what's what happened today. So Saul died for his transgression, which he committed against the Lord, even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit to inquire of it. Saul's continued disobedience and the consulting of the witch of Endor had brought on his downfall. We should ask to disobey Satan and to obey Jesus to escape his punishment. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Matthew 7, chapter 21st verse. Not everyone professing Christ is genuinely saved. Let me and you submit to the will of Christ. We need Christ more than he need us. That's when I try to speak about Christ, because I'm living on his time. And I had a vision about on the corner of people being hurt, and that the people were fearing me more than God when they should fear God more than me. Because it's Christ doing the work. I'm trying to do his will, not my own will. And fighting this flesh to do God's will. Thank you, and obey Jesus, be Christ-like men and women.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Our next speaker is Brother Anthony Muhammad.
Nature Art Hotel. Assalamu alaikum. I come here today to let it be known that Brother Anthony Muhammad is a spiritual man. And I command my father's spiritual energies, my mother, who represent the emotion and feeling, Mother Earth, Mother Universe, and the daughter of the earth. We are individuals with energy. We have 360 degrees make a whole. The Father teach you how to represent 180 degrees. The Mother So when the father finished, come to me. You know when you was a child, when your mother would stand up in the room and say, baby, you failed? Oh, my leg hurt, mama. Mama said, come here, child. She kissed you where you say you hurt now. Oh, mama, it's better now. That's the mother universe, energy, as well as the daughter who represents the earth, can solve all our problems. I come to ask you why. Don't we be concerned about the people on the street? Atlanta, Mr. Westmoreland, you know I like always using your comments you have made. Atlanta returned $1.3 million in unspent workforce development money. I went back to my file and found that Atlanta loses $4 million federal grant to train low-skilled workers. Now, when you go on the street of Atlanta, see people that look like me, they can have used this money, Atlanta, money you let go back to the federal grant. The federal grant go back to the federal government because you didn't take time to use the paperwork. Or, Mr. Westmoreland said, workforce development money been going back ever since I've been coming down here, ever since 2010 with Shirley Franklin. Before she left, we had a problem with money invested in the community and it wasn't being used for the benefit that we said. Now we got you new members of this council. What are you going to do? You look like me, but my people living on the street. You had men and women standing up in the 60s for the benefit to transform this state, Georgia. As Stacey Abrams said, Georgia is one of the richest states in the Union for people that look like me. Why is it that we can't get the voice collectively? And let's do that and get some of these resources we have and help eliminate that problem you see on the street. You can't tell me you love your brother. You got a brother and sister living on the street. What are you going to do? It's 6 months y'all been in here, some of you all, and you're not doing anything but taking your position and take this check. And what you doing with that? I greet you as I come. Matriarch. Assalamu alaikum. Ashe.
Thank you so much, Brother Muhammad. The next speaker is Ron Shakir.
Good afternoon, Ron Shakir, beautiful Southwest Atlanta. And I have Mr. Well, my clock has started already, look like, but he's giving me his time also, so can we start it together?
I'll acknowledge that you have an extra 15 seconds. Please continue.
Yeah, I want to appreciate the opportunity to be able to address you, especially Mr. Dozier. I was coming down the street a couple of weeks ago now in front of Kroger, coming from beautiful restaurant area and attended Southwest High, so I've been coming down that street for over 40-some years. And to be met suddenly by turning left lane was shocking. It was more than shocking, it was disturbing because it was disregard to citizens who have been using that. And we have successful businesses on that street now, the Slutty Vegan and others. But the community is left out. I've been to maybe 400 or 500 meetings down here and more when I talk about my community meetings. But I remember when legislation came up out of this body to shrink the impact, engagement with the community in order to get projects moved faster. I don't see how citizens who get to Langhorne to get to 20 can be left out of a consideration of a process of changing a lane to make it a one lane. It's really disrespectful. And I understand the gentrification presence in our community today. White presence has a power that I'm pretty sure a lot of white brothers and sisters is working on. And because we have some great fighters for freedom and justice in this country from white communities and white individuals. But we got to be careful that that we don't administer that same systemic racism power coming out of black skin. Our communities are being pushed out. Citizens are being erased. History is being retaught. There There's a history I got the other day. I don't know where it come from. Well, a citizen sent it to me. It was a headline paper of work that was being observed on Peyton Road. I heard about it since the 70s. But they actually showed the bridge where black people could not travel at a certain time of this day. And some of us have to scratch our head to understand, where do black people live who went to Archer High School, that grew up in Perry homes, and had these adjoining communities that they contributed to? They're erased.
Mr. Chair, I just want to acknowledge you do have another 3 minutes, but I just want to make sure the clock gets reset from your yield time. Please continue.
Well, then you didn't put the 15 on there before we got it. But these communities have mattered, and they being erased. Some of us don't remember. But they had schools connected to them, elementary schools, and we have a lot of people now who come from the Board of Education. They have seen 30, 40 schools that once used to be in the city of Atlanta, used to be Atlanta under the Atlanta Board of Education, has been erased. They're not there no more. They represent people and families and communities and children who have dreams, who have been recognized all over this country and all over this world, coming from Atlanta and these little small communities that's been erased by developments like the Beltline. Developments that give more priority, that take away the human concerns and the human presence in our communities. And historically, that's nothing new, Mr. Dozier. There's people who have woke up in this country and in other parts of the world, and their neighbors wasn't there no more. There's people who are waking up right now who have buses that used to pick them up from the school every day. Those buses now have 4 kids they picking up. Some of the people that have Section 8 vouchers has been moved out that had 4 children used to catch the bus. These children ain't catching the bus there no more. They can't find a place to stay. In Texas, it's one particular county in Texas not taking no vouchers. The same thing's happening here, Mr. Dozier, and we smiling about it. We making light of it. They living in different counties now. Faraway counties right down the street, but you got to get on the expressway. Our legislation matters. We cannot miss our neighbors and think it's development. We tore down public housing, great buildings where people lived and come and became great citizens, gone to wars and come back in this country, in these communities. Presence matters. And just because we get a different price, it doesn't make it right. To see citizens who can't live in this city no more. They mothers and fathers, they contributors. And just because they white, that will make them right. Just because they have more tax incomes coming to this city and their revenue don't make it right. And just because they black don't make them right. Just because they white don't make them wrong. But our conscience is practiced in this city, and we can share on it. And I know you got a lot to do, and there's a lot of people. Well, it's not a lot of people in here, Mr. Dozier. I'm a citizen, and you shouldn't be so impatient to get me out.
Give everybody the same amount of time.
The same amount of time.
Yes,
well,
sir.
you know it's not the same amount of time, because since y'all been here in the last 12 or 15 years, we'll tell you that we don't have the same amount of time. Why are we losing time today? We used to be able to have a comment on every piece of legislation before it was commented on.
Mr. Shakir.
Say it again?
I understand.
You understand that, but do you care about that?
I do care.
Does it matter?
It
Well,
does
why
matter.
you interrupt me? Why can't you be patient on that,
Mr. Shakir, we're a minute and some change over. I gave you 6 minutes to speak, and I would love
You
to
didn't give
continue.
me 6 minutes to speak. He gave me 3
Well,
minutes.
point taken.
I just asked you, good, point taken, point. But I'm just saying, demonstrate that. There's not a lot of people out here today.
Well, at the end of the day, we give every person the same amount of time. You are
At the
yielding
end of the
additional
day,
time.
at the end of the day, y'all make 2 times the amounts of money, not 2 times. Used to be $30-some thousand y'all used to make. Now you make $70-some thousand. You understand? Let's just take time to realize that we have to take time to look at this, although it takes a...
Thank you, Mr. Shakir. All right, next item on our agenda, I believe, is communications.
Item number 1 is 22C5129, a communication from Pierre Gaither, Executive Director of the Atlanta Board of Education, submitting the appointment of Ms. Tamara Jones to serve as a member of the Atlanta Beltline Affordable Housing Advisory Board. This appointment is for a term of 2 years.
Good to see you, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much for joining us. If you could let us know why you're interested in the appointment and recognize your colleagues, share this appointment for a reason, but we'd love to hear a little bit more about your background and just please indulge us.
Sure. Hang on. My daughter won't quit texting me. Stop it. Yes, thank you for this. My name is Tamara Jones, and in January I was elected to citywide at-large seat 7 on the Atlanta Board of Education. A little bit about me. I received my Master of Architecture from Georgia Tech. I work in architecture and urban planning professionally, and I've lived in the city of Atlanta for 30 years. One of the things that I bring to this, and one of the reasons I'm interested is because, and I don't know if any of y'all were here, in the late 90s and early 2000s, I served on the District 2 Rail Corridor Task Force, which was the precursor. Like, we developed design standards and zoning recommendations that informed the Beltline overlay. I also worked on drafting the Inman Park Historic District regulations, and throughout that experience we were exploring ways to encourage affordable housing. And one of the things that I learned from all of that, watching the Beltline overlay and the development that happened, is that relying on carrots and density bonuses proved to be a rather ineffective way of trying to keep our citizens in their homes and encourage a more diverse neighborhood. And I take Mr. Shakir's point very, to heart, because I've watched it play out. Here in APS, it is very important because, as he noted, we've seen the housing, go away. And it's very important, in this, as the prices rise in the city, that our families, our students, our teachers, and our staff have places to live in the city where they serve our children. And I really look forward to working with you all on this committee, to ensure that there are ways that we can make the Beltline development work for all citizens of this city. And I'm very excited to work with you.
Thank you so much. There's a motion to approve by Westmoreland, second by Bakhtiari. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion is accepted. 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much for your continued service to the city of Atlanta. Next item.
Item number 2 is 22C5130, a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Justin Cutler to serve as Commissioner of the Department of Parks and Recreation for the City of Atlanta.
Thank you. Mr. Cutler, good to see you again.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is DCO Ada. I'm representing the Mayor's Office. This afternoon we are presenting Justin Cutler as the Commissioner for Parks and Rec. I know he's met a number of you, but we made a commitment that we're going to find the right people to fill the open positions. And in line with that commitment, we are presenting Justin. He is phenomenal. He's had to hit the ground running, and I know you've met him, and I'll give him the chance to introduce himself. But thank you for this opportunity. Come on.
Great. Sorry, Chair Dozer and council members, thank you for having me today. My name is Justin Cutler. I'm excited to be here. I recently moved from the city of Seattle, where I was the recreation director, where I oversaw our 26 community centers, 8 pools, 2 outdoor pools, several beaches, 2 rowing and sailing centers, and a couple nature centers. And I was responsible for over a $44 million budget, which is about the size of our department's budget when you look at our general fund. So as a division within Seattle, I was responsible for a similar amount of scope and scale. I also worked for Westminster, Colorado, which is a 3-time gold medal winning organization in Parks and Recreation, as awarded by the National Recreation Parks Association, where I served as recreation manager during that tenure as well. And you may be wondering, well, does he have a parks background, or is it all just recreation? I did serve with the city of Gresham as an analyst, where we focused specifically on parks, dealing with specifically encroachments, maintenance modernization, and working with our team to really help the team feel empowered. Sometimes, as you can imagine, being a parks worker, it's a very difficult job. Every day you go out to the park, you pick up the trash, and every day somehow the trash ends up back in the park, right? And so time and time again, you're constantly going out there. So what I did is worked with the team to really think about the resources that we had, what can we do with the resources we have to really empower the staff to own that responsibility and own that role to make a difference in our community. And it led to us developing a project list, to working through that project list very methodically, and to seeing the team's morale improve. So maybe that's something that we do here as well. But at the end of the day, I'm really excited to be here. Throughout the interview process, one of the things that appealed to me was the level of partnership and engagement in the Parks and Recreation services. Recently read a TPL report that said that 1 out of every $5 spent by the City of Atlanta on Parks and Recreation services comes from a nonprofit or a partner. And to me, that says something. That says that the City of Atlanta and Atlantans in the city are committed to their Parks and Recreation services. The businesses are committed. Our partners are committed. And I'm really looking forward to working with our partners, working with local business, working with each of you and the Dickens administration to really make sure that we're moving our parks forward in a very positive way. And I know recently we've had a spat of incidences in our parks, and working hand in hand with Chief Sherbaum, we've been able to meet and talk about what we can do to continue to improve community safety. Tonight, Councilmember Dozier, I'll be with you at Dunbar Recreation Center to support you, support the community. Last night I was at Dunbar checking in with the team to make sure the team was doing well, because as we know, these events have a compounding effect not only on our community, but on our staff. So it's important that we're present. So. But at the end of the day, I'm just here to serve. I've been in public service for over 20 years, and my mother was a teacher, and I'm really excited just to continue her legacy serving people. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cutler. Before we move in, or before I entertain a motion, I would love for my colleagues, if you have any questions or comments, please share them now. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. I know we're meeting very soon in person.
Yes.
I can, I'll tell you look really funny peeking out from behind that column. One of the things, welcome to Atlanta. Glad to have you. I appreciate everything that you addressed. I was curious, one of the things that I'm most concerned about when it comes to our green spaces is also looking at it through a lens of equity. Atlanta, as I'm, sure you are going to become quickly aware, has a lot of it. I mean, there's still a lot of poverty within our city. There are still differences depending on where you live. We still have the issue of, obviously, children of color not having the same access as non-POC kids. And so one of my concerns is being able to look at our parks through an equitable lens and being able to do a proper assessment and trying to build youth engagement around it through that lens. So I'm not even sure if this is so much a question as is this something you'd be open to working on, and curious as to how your approach would be with that concern in mind.
Yeah, most definitely. So during my time with the City of Seattle and throughout my career, I really try to advocate for those farthest for what I call Parks and Recreation justice. So taking a targeted universalism approach, identifying who is farthest from being able to attain the service. So for example, with the City of Westminster, an incident that impacted me early on in my career was at Hag Lake in Oregon. There was 8 individuals from a Latino family that drowned, and that the family members basically were trying to build a chain to rescue somebody that was drowning, and because of access to swimming, all these individuals drowned, and it's really had an impact on the disparity that exists with Black, Indigenous, and people of color access to swimming and swimming skills and water safety skills. And so in Westminster, we worked with a local group of promotores or health navigators to establish a swimming program, a bilingual swimming program, and we worked with adults and worked with youth, and it was featured on Telemundo as a means of reaching out. We had people driving as far as 45 minutes to our community because we were doing something different. We were doing something that was culturally relevant for people of Latino descent in order to make sure that we were providing a safe space for young people and older adults and adults to learn how to swim. We had youth and adult classes because it impacted every age group. Also in Seattle, we looked at kind of leader compensation as well as our budgets and how our budgets were allocated, recognizing that sometimes Parks and Recreation can have a model of pay to play, where kids that can pay get to play, whereas kids that aren't able to pay don't get to play. And so we were very conscious about how we structured the budget and how we allocated resources. Again, looking at equity, because equity is an equal, right? It's making sure that people who are farthest from that opportunity have the opportunity to obtain what they need when they need it. And so we were able to restructure our budget and allocate additional resources to what we called equity-seeking zones. And we're able to invest more deeply, reduce cost, as well as provide free programming in some instances. So well aware of that and definitely committed to making sure that as we deliver services, both parks and recreation, that they're done in an equitable manner. And also the city and the department have already started that effort with our equity data tool. So as part of Activate ATL, that process, we developed an equity map that looks at various health impacts, socioeconomic status, demographic information to help inform how are we making decisions and how are we making investments. So that's a tool that we'll utilize as we look to implement the bond measure and as we implement new programs.
Well, I really appreciate all that, and I look forward to working with you on it, and also look forward to helping you fight for a larger budget. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilmember Bakhtiari. Up next, we have Councilmember Jason Winston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good to see you again.
You as well.
I'm very optimistic and hopeful about your appointment to this position. Your background includes cities that are known for their recreation and their parks, and I'm hopeful that you will bring that same notoriety to Atlanta's parks and recs programs here in the city of Atlanta. I'm hopeful that you'll be able to activate some of our underutilized parks, bring programming for youth and for our seniors that desperately need it. I'm hopeful that you will figure out a way to keep our pools open throughout the year, throughout the season, so that the people of Atlanta who pay for those services are able to use it. I'm hopeful that you will figure out ways to, bring excitement through youth sports, either through soccer or football or basketball, and bring more of that to the city of Atlanta. But most of all, I'm hopeful that you will make Parks and Recs a great department for the city of Atlanta for many years to come, and I'm hopeful that we'll be celebrating many successes in a year from now. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Winston. I need some of that hope in my life, too. Up next, we have Councilmember Dustin Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome again to Atlanta. We had a good conversation yesterday about some of the issues. So I'm not going to get into specific issues in my district, but just as an overall, which we discussed yesterday, what is your plan for getting, as so many departments need to do, this is not DPR specific, but getting our city back to the basics, parks, keeping our parks clean, cut, our trails clean and cut, and items like that.
Thank you, Councilmember Hillis. I'll just close by saying one of the things that I really appreciate about our conversation yesterday, I know we started a conversation around the unfortunate incident that happened at Roselle Bernie Park in Mechanicsville on Sunday, but I'm really, to Councilmember Winston's point, very hopeful about the opportunities to activate our city spaces so that we can make them safer and change the perception of our parks by having opportunities for young people, for seniors, for everyone. We will be able to transform how people interact with our park spaces. And I'm really excited. I'm hopeful. And with that, I'll go ahead and motion to approve this communication. Second by Bakhtiari. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. The vote is closed.
Motion carries 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much, Mr. Cutler.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item.
Item number 3 is 22C5131, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Mr. Brendan Doherty to serve as a member of the Beltline Affordable Housing Trust Fund Commission in the For-Profit Development Community category. This appointment is for a term of 3 years.
And I believe this needs to be amended to correct the caption. This appointment is actually going to be for the Atlanta Housing Commission. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to amend. Second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
The motion to amend is adopted. 6 yeas, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Do we need to read the corrected caption or?
So, 22C5131, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Mr. Brendan Doherty to serve as a member of the Atlanta Housing Commission in the For-Profit Development Community category. This appointment is for a term of 3 years.
All right, Mr. Doherty, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in the appointment.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, council members, leaders, and others. I am Brendan Doherty. I grew up in Massachusetts. I like to say that I fell in love with a woman here in Atlanta and then very quickly fell in love with the city of Atlanta. Since moving here, I'll give you a little bit of my own background that's relevant to this position. I've had a substantial amount of experience actually in government, so served at pretty senior levels in both the Bush and the Obama administration, so at the federal level. When I left, worked in the nonprofit space for a while and ran a nonprofit, so I've kind of had both of those sectors of experience. The past 8 years, though, I've really been focused on this space of impact investing, of how do you use capital in ways that both generate returns, build businesses, but also solve bigger challenges that we face in the world, whether that's equity or climate or housing. So about 5 years ago, started doing real estate development. At the time, I was living in New York City. I was also at that time, I had built a division inside of Forbes Media, all on impact investing, and I had created a community of folks who really want to align their values with their capital, and it included everything from family offices and inheritors and banks and venture capitalists, but I also brought in a lot of pro athletes and musicians and others with this idea that if you can really blend cultural capital with financial capital and use it to really help remake some of our economic systems, you could actually get at the heart of this. And so that was how I met my now business partner in Kingdom Group. We are a real estate development company based here in Atlanta and in Nashville. We're actually majority black owned. One of my business partners lives in Nashville. He played 9 years for the Titans, and he really was while active up until about 2 years ago, was really a leader actually in the NFL around doing this kind of investing off the field. And we really kind of connected around that. And our third partner, Kendrick, has a pretty deep real estate background. And so the three of us came together, formed Kingdom Group. We focus on doing mixed-use real estate developments that have a double bottom line to them. And we've got everything from, as examples, a 50-unit supportive housing building in Nashville that caters to those who are transitioning out of homelessness, with a whole bunch of wraparound services, stabilizes them, and then brings them on their feet. College Park, we have a real estate development that we're doing in partnership with some churches, with a church there, but we have other church partnerships, the Methodist Church, and really what that's all about is creating affordable housing that's centered in the arts. So we've really helped enable an arts organization to actually literally own their future and own the ground floor of that building, with the units above it being affordable without, actually, I would add, without government assistance, without subsidies, LIHTC, other kinds of credits. We actually have come up with ways to do it in the market, but just to still make it affordable. That's what I think leads me to this position that I'm really particularly excited about. Is I think I have a strong background in creative capital and how to use money in ways that both are, sure, philanthropic, but also much more creative, market-driven ways, and ones that don't always necessarily have to rely on government incentives as well. And so part of what I'm excited about with the Atlanta Housing Commission is, one, drawing on that and see if we can come up with other kinds of creative ways to actually encourage and execute against having more affordable housing here in Atlanta, which is not only a national crisis, but it's certainly one here in Atlanta. I've done a lot of work on the West Side, including with the West Side Future Fund and others, so I know a lot about, at least I have a baseline understanding of some of those issues that are at play. And secondly, I think how the city and the city processes can actually better support really intentional developments. I think that kind of efficiency, streamlining, cooperation, I can lean on some of the work I did in government myself to understand how some of these processes work, and hopefully really expedite helping the mayor deliver on some of these 20,000 affordable units in the very near term.
Thank you so much. Number one,
Yeah.
There's a motion on the floor to approve by Westmoreland, second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, the motion is adopted. 4 yeas, 1 abstention. Congratulations, and
Thanks.
thank you for your service to the City of Atlanta.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, next item.
Item number 4 is 22C5132, a communication by Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Ms. Eunice Glover to serve as a member of the Atlanta Development Authority Board of Directors, DBA Invest Atlanta, as the APAB representative. This appointment is for a term of 4 years.
Good to see you, Ms. Glover. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so very much. It's good to be here. As you know, my name is Eunice Glover. I am the chair of the Planning Unit I, where a love of community, dignity and respect, and professionalism and dedication drives everything we do. I have an interest in Invest Atlanta because most of my career, professional career, and volunteerism has been all about quality of life, and Invest Atlanta is about strengthening the economy and global competition to increase opportunities and prosperity for Atlanta. That's what I have done as an employee within the University System of Georgia. The first role was at Georgia Tech, and the second one was Assistant Vice President of Operations, Planning, and Budgeting at Clayton State University, where my role had a great deal to do with accounting and fiscal matters. In the NPUI in Southwest Atlanta, we have a lot of interest in building and growing our area and partnering with the City of Atlanta and all of the departments and our elected officials. We reach out and involve everyone that we can.
Thank you so much, Ms. Glover. Any comments or questions from colleagues before? All right, motion to approve by Winston, second by Hillis.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
The motion is adopted, 5 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much, Ms. Glover, and thank you for your continued service to the City of Atlanta. And next item.
Item number 5 is 22C5133, a communication by Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Barry Givens, Jr. to serve as a member of the Atlanta Development Authority Board of Directors, DBA Invest Atlanta. This appointment is for a term of 4 years.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Lose sight of time. So my name is Barry Givens. This is as a young man, this is a dream come true moment for me. I moved to Atlanta when I was 9 years old, well, to Stone Mountain. I guess that's not Atlanta. But moved to Stone Mountain from Milwaukee, and it was the first time I witnessed black prosperity. It was my doctor was black, my principal was black. I've never not had a black mayor, since I've been here. And that really shaped me, and I don't think I could do what I have done in my career in any other city other than Atlanta. And so leaving Stone Mountain, went to Georgia Tech, got an engineering degree, mechanical engineer. Lasted about 9 months in corporate before I realized that I was really an entrepreneur at heart. And since then, I've started 3 businesses here in Atlanta, raised a little over $5 million for one of those businesses. And one of them I currently serve as one of 3 managing partners for Collab Capital, which is a $52 million venture capital fund based here in Atlanta, focused specifically on investing in African-American entrepreneurs. And through that, my entire journey has really been about how do we create those same opportunities that I got as a young man, the things that I saw. How do we make sure that those opportunities are not going away, and actually that they're increased tenfold? And so the work that I do now at Collab Capital is not just venture capital. We developed a brand new investment vehicle, which is extremely difficult to do, creating a financial instrument. But it was focused on how do we get more black investors into companies, and how do we fill gaps for black entrepreneurs that are typically there once as you go higher and higher in the venture capital stack, racism increases and it gets worse and worse the higher you go up. And so how do we build sustainable black-owned businesses focused on ownership, focused on building black wealth in this country? And where else can you do that outside of Atlanta, Georgia? And now, being able to, as I've gotten older and really understand how finance works, how money works, and how power works, really understanding that Atlanta doesn't just serve Atlanta. Atlanta is a beacon for other cities in the South, other cities around this country, and they look to Atlanta for leadership. They look to Atlanta for how is Atlanta building their innovation economy, how is Atlanta investing in their city, and Invest Atlanta sits at the middle of that. And for the last 10 years, I have been trying to figure out how to build that foundation, how to create an economy that works for all people, no matter where you start. And the missing link has been the city. We've worked with the chamber, we've worked with large organizations, obviously we work with investors, we work with founders, we work with small businesses, and I think where I fit in with Invest Atlanta is using Invest Atlanta as that merger point and bringing together all of these entities to build something that can truly build a sustainable business future for the city of Atlanta, and that it is built with intentionality about making sure that the city is not being changed by the increased economics that are happening. And I've never been to one of these meetings, so hearing the people speak and the community comments really stuck with me, because those are the same things that I'm trying to fix, but bringing the ability to build with scale, the ability to build with innovation, the ability to build with strategy, and bringing all of that experience that I've built over the last 10, 12 years into Invest Atlanta, and just building a more equitable city, which hopefully will be the beacon to build a more equitable country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gibbons. There's a motion on the floor to approve by Westmoreland, second by Bakhtiari. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right, the motion carries 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much, Mr. Gibbons. Thank you for your service to the city of Atlanta. And I'll say, as a fellow son of DeKalb County, Georgia, I am, serving this city means a lot to me, as I'm sure it will be a lot to you. And so don't ever let anyone take your Atlanta-ness away from you.
I never will. I look forward to working with you.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All right, next item.
Item number 31 is 22C 5083, a communication from Councilmember Alex Wan, District 6, appointing Mr. William Baker to serve as a member of the Pedestrian and Bicycle Planning Commission.
All right, Mr. Baker. All right. We'll go ahead and move to the next item. It's coming off of health, so we don't need to do anything with it. Okay.
Item number 35, 22C5102, a communication from council members Dustin Hillis, District 9, Andrea L. Boone, District 10, Marcy Collier Overstreet, District 11, Antonio Lewis, District 12, and Keisha Shawn Waits, Post 3 at large, appointing Mr. Zachary Adrianes to serve as a member of the Atlanta Beltline Affordable Housing Advisory Board. This appointment is for a term of 2 years.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Hello, Mr. Chair, council members, party people. Excited to be here today, and I'm thankful for Commissioner Councilmember Lewis for nominating me for this position. I am a planner by trade. I went to Georgia Tech and got my master's degree in community development in 2011, and I've been in Atlanta working in the industry ever since. I'm also in PUX chair, which is directly adjacent to the Beltline, so I have some hands-on experience with how the Beltline has affected affordability in the area, and I'm looking forward to getting to work on addressing the issue.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments for colleagues? Motion by Westmoreland to approve, second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you for your service to the City of Atlanta, your continued service to the City of Atlanta. All right, next item.
Item number 37, 22C5112, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman, reappointing Mr. Desmond Johnson to serve as a member of the Atlanta Urban Design Commission in the Architect 2 category. This appointment is for a term of 3 years to begin retroactively on November 19th, 2021 and expire November 18th, 2024.
Johnson, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Desmond Johnson. I am also a Georgia Tech alum, where I got my Master's of Architecture degree, and I currently am a licensed architect working in the industry. I've been serving on the Urban Design Commission for the past 3 years, where I served as chair for the past 2 years. I look forward to being reappointed to continue to doing the great work and preserving design excellence in the city.
Thank you. All right. Motion by Westmoreland to approve, second by Bakhtiari. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion carries 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Thank you for your continued service to the City of Atlanta. All right, next item.
Item number 38, 22C5113, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman reappointing Mr. David Marvin to serve as a member of the Downtown Atlanta Community Improvement District. This appointment is for a term of 4 years to begin retroactively on June 16, 2022 and expire on June 15, 2026.
I don't believe Mr. Marvin is here with us this afternoon. So we can move on to the next item.
Item number 39, 22R3971, a resolution by Committee on Council reappointing Ms. Malloy Peterson to the City of Atlanta Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee as one of the 3 members appointed by the Atlanta City Council for a term of 2 years. Said term is to begin upon approval of this resolution and for other purposes.
Hey, Ms. Peterson, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little about yourself and why you're interested in this appointment.
Yes, so
Or reappointment, I should say.
reappointment. I've been an Atlanta resident for 25 years, also a Georgia Tech MBA. Sounds like everyone in the room is, or went to Georgia Tech. 20 years of real estate experience. My work at Seelig Enterprises, where I'm an SVP, and Seelig is a owner, operator, developer of real estate. We have about 300 properties in and around Atlanta. I mean, everywhere from South Atlanta, downtown, Midtown, Buckhead, Sidney Marcus. We have a really good view of the entire Atlanta market because we're an owner, holder, and developer. So my primary focus is development, and I've been working on the Midtown project, where you may have seen the big Google sign, and the Works, which is Councilmember Hillis's district. I'm sure his pride and joy. I was appointed to the committee we're talking about right now, it's such a mouthful, Development Impact Fee Advisory Committee. In 2019, when I guess they brought the committee back together for the first time in a while. And we did a new fee study, and council voted to raise the development impact fees, first time in like 25, 26 years. We were part of recommending broader uses for the actual impact fees, and we were really focused on the way that it would be reported on in the future. So those were sort of, again, that was council voting on that, but those were things we were really involved in. It was actually a committee where it didn't seem like we were going to, it seemed like a big daunting task ahead of us, but actually felt like we got something done at the end. So besides that, I'm on the Midtown Alliance, MID, and the Upper West Side, CID, Beltline, SSD. That's me. I think that all rhyme. I served as chair last time, so I'm happy to do it again.
Thank you so much, Ms. Peterson. Motion by Hillis, second by Westmoreland. Please open the vote.
Was actually seconded by me.
The vote is open. Would all members please vote? The vote is closed.
Your motion is favorable, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you, Ms. Peterson, for your continued service to the City of Atlanta. I believe that's our last communication, or am I
Yes,
mistaken?
council members, the committee needs to refer this particular one back to COC.
All right.
So we'll make that motion.
I'll make a motion to refer back to Community on Council, second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion to refer carries, 6 yeas, 0 nays. All right, next item. I believe we are in ordinances for second reading.
That's right, Section G, item number 6, 220. Would the committee like to take items number 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, and 13 as a block?
Yes, please.
Item number 6, 220-1571, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee amending the FY 2022 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $508,176.00, increasing the budget amount authorized by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the City of Atlanta's Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program for the Santa Fe Villas Housing Complex and for other purposes. Item number 7 is 220-1576, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee amending the FY 2022 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $199,503.00, increasing the budget amount authorized by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the City of Atlanta's Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program for the Washington Street Apartments and for other purposes. Item number 8, 220-1573, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee amending the FY 2022 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $345,447.00, increasing the budget amount authorized by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the City of Atlanta's Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program for the Vanira Village Apartments and for other purposes. Item number 11, 220-1576, an ordinance by the Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the ratification of services rendered by GNS Santa Fe LLC during the period from January 1, 2022 through the execution date of the agreements authorized herein for the purpose of paying rental subsidies on behalf of 100 units for low-income, formerly homeless individuals at Santa Fe Villas pursuant to the Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to authorize the mayor or his designee to enter into a housing assistance payments contract with GNS Santa Fe LLC, retroactively effective January 1, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $401,280.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account number listed herein and for other purposes. Item number 12, 220-1577, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the ratification of services rendered by 949-953 Washington Street, LLC, during the period from January 1, 2022 through the execution date of the agreement authorized herein for the purpose of paying rental subsidies on 16 units for low-income families at the Washington Street Apartments pursuant to the Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program, sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a housing assistance payment contract with 949-953 Washington Street, LLC, retroactively effective January 1, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $182,400.00. $182,400.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account number listed herein and for other purposes. And item number 13, 220-1578, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the ratification of services rendered by 8 Vanira LLC during the period from January 1, 2022 through the execution date of the agreement authorized herein for the purpose of paying rental subsidies on 28 units for low-income families at the Vanira Village Apartment pursuant to the Section 8 Moderate Rehabilitation Program sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a housing assistance payment contract with 8 Vanira LLC, retroactively effective January 1, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2022, in an amount not to exceed $315,516.00. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
Thank you. We have Commissioner Deborah Lonan with us today to speak to these particular items. Commissioner Lonan, good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. And if you would forgive me, but I must, after being in a room full of Georgia Tech grads, say go dogs.
Right.
All right. So all 6 of these items are before you today so that we may receive, appropriate, and contract with the 3 entities that provide housing assistance subsidies for our low-income residents in the city. And so with your permission, we'll be able to award and then go back and pay them retroactively.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments from colleagues? I'll take motion to approve by Westmoreland. I'll go ahead and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion carries 6 yeas, 0 nays, and I will also second the go dogs.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next item.
Item number 9, 220-1574, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation to accept a reimbursement grant from the Georgia Recreation and Parks Association in the amount not to exceed $190,000.00 in accordance with Section 9-210 of the Atlanta Code, and authorizing an amendment to the fiscal year 2022 intergovernmental grant fund budget to anticipate and appropriate, and authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Georgia Recreation and Park Association and for other purposes.
Before we go into the discussion, I believe there needs to be an amendment to the caption on this particular item. Ms. Robinson, if you want to speak to that real quick.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Amber A. Robinson, Law Department. There's a reference in the caption of item 9 to section 9-210 of the code. That reference should actually read to -910.
All right. I'll go ahead and make that amendment. Second by Hillis. An amendment to change the caption to the specific number or reference that was spoken by Ms. Robinson.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
The motion to amend is approved, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Oh, it's 7. I just want to acknowledge Councilmember Michael Jean Bond has joined us. 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Noted.
All right. Deputy Commissioner Voss, and I'm assuming we're not going to throw Mr. Cutler on the onto
I'll cover this one. Good afternoon, Chairman Dozier and members of council. This grant accepts a reimbursement from the Georgia Rec and Park Association for $190,000. They received the funds from the Building Out of School Time program. It's also known as BOOST. This is the second grant we have received. We received one for $250,000 in the spring, this one for the summer program for $190,000, and it looks like we're eligible for another $300,000 in the fall. So I just wanted to acknowledge Recreation Director Ramondo Davidson and specifically Karen Owens, who is our Recreation Program Supervisor, who has been submitting for these grants. This is $750,000 worth of reimbursement towards our after-school and camp programs, and just really proud of that, and hope you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them, but thank you for consideration of this ordinance.
Any questions from colleagues? Seeing none, motion to approve as amended by Westmoreland, second by Bakhtiari.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion to amend is favorable. To approve as amended is favorable, 7 yeas, 0 nays. All right, next item.
Item number 10, 22-01575, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute a lease agreement with Newport 235 Mitchell Street LLP, a Delaware limited partnership for approximately 3,769 rentable square feet of office space located at 235 Mitchell Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30303 for the Atlanta City Design Studio for a term of 4 years commencing on August 1st, 2022, with one-year renewal option at an initial base rate of $14.00 per rentable square foot, escalating annually as set forth herein, plus utility and other expenses, authorizing the expenses to be charged to and paid from the fund accounts provided, waiving Article 10, Section 2-1546 of the Procurement Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, and for other purposes.
And we have today Doug Young, Interim Director of the Office of Design. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Young. If you could speak to this, we'd love to hear about the ordinance.
Certainly. Thank you all for this opportunity. My name again is Doug Young, the Interim Director of the Office of Design in the Department of City Planning. I've been with the City of Atlanta for some time now. I actually manage the city's historic preservation programs for many years. This is a new interim position for myself, and I'm very happy to take that opportunity. This ordinance is about the lease arrangement to continue the Atlanta City Design services in downtown Atlanta. You might know that we've been at 99 Broad Street for a couple years now, but 2 of those years were during the pandemic, so none of our public programming was able to occur in that time period, including our educational, technical assistance, and community outreach work. So with Newport's assistance, we found a new location around the corner at 235 Mitchell Street, which is in the Hotel Row Landmark District. This will allow us to collaborate on the South Downtown and particular initiatives that you might have heard about from other organizations and activities in the City of Atlanta. We are very excited about our downtown presence. We think there's a lot of opportunity to coordinate amongst Department of City Planning programs, ATLDO programs, and also our Housing Community Development Office that has a lot of things going on as well. As noted in the caption, this is a 4-year lease with a 1-year renewal. We work closely with Newport on accommodating the tenant improvements into that lease structure, and we're confident this will be a great fit for us to stay downtown. For folks who are familiar with the City Design Studio activity from before, we do anticipate trying to explore temporary pop-up locations in other parts of the city as well. This will be our home base for the next 4 years.
Thank you. And I will say I'm glad to see that y'all are staying in District 4. So, Councilmember Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Young. So one, maybe kind of answered my question in that I originally thought back when this started up that the intention was to move around the city. Maybe you all have decided to accomplish that through the pop-up locations, but just a little information about that because we want the whole city to be involved in this, not just District 4 here. But
certainly. You are correct, Councilmember Hillis, that when the Atlanta City Design Studio was created, it was going to move relatively frequently around the city of Atlanta. We had thought at one point every year, but we found that really didn't allow us to build community and programs in the area we were at. started upon City Market, then moved to Cascade Road in southwest Atlanta. And so the idea is that we can establish this space really to be the storefront for the Department of City Planning in downtown, but we do anticipate looking at other pop-up locations around the city of Atlanta. We really want to try to make those locations fit with and collaborate with our other initiatives in the city planning program so we can actually build on that activity and have that personal presence in those locations. So depending on where we have programs going around the city of Atlanta, that's where we'll be looking for location for opportunities.
Thank you for that. And the second question, what's the current status of the City Design Studio? Is it fully staffed? Is it open to the public?
Great question.
What's the timeline for that?
Certainly. The move is going to occur actually by end of October of this year. And so right now we are staffed as far as folks using that space on the city side, but we have not had our public programming operating, and thus we're not open to the public in that way you might be familiar with, mostly because of the pandemic considerations. And now, given that we're looking to move in a few months, we're going to actually use that new location to restart and rededicate all those programs.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Councilmember Hillis. Any other questions or comments from colleagues? Seeing none.
Last one.
Oh, Councilmember Winston.
Just a quick question. Talk a little bit about site selection and using this property that we're leasing versus space that the city may already have control of.
Certainly. Well, one of the considerations for the city studio is to have a storefront retail presence for the city staff. We also felt it was important to be in South Downtown. And thirdly, we also thought it was important to showcase the rehabilitation of a historic property in Hotel Row. We've had a really great relationship with our landlord, Newport, known colloquially to everybody. And we found that this location really helps to serve that part of downtown. In particular, you might know that there's other buildings in Hotel Row that are being renovated quite nicely, and we think will add to that vitality for that part of the city of Atlanta.
All right. Any other comments or questions? I'll go ahead and move approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
Motion favorable, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you so much, Mr. Young.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Our next item.
Item number 14, 220-1626, an ordinance by council members Andrea L. Boone, Dustin Hillis, authorizing the chief financial officer to make a donation to House Proud Atlanta, Inc. for the purpose of providing home repairs for seniors at an amount not to exceed $100,000, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement to contribute to the funding of home repairs of seniors residing in Districts 9 and 10 through a donation to House Proud Atlanta, Inc., authorizing the chief financial officer or his designee to transfer donations in an amount not to exceed $100,000 as a charitable donation pursuant to the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Section 6-306, all costs to be paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Yeah, so Councilman Hillis had to step out. Can we come back to this particular item? Yes, can we table this for now? I want to give him a chance to speak to it and to make the necessary motions.
Moving to item number 15, 220-1633, an ordinance by council members Michael Julian Bond, Matt Westmoreland, Keisha Shawn Waits, Jason Winston, Jason Dozier, Dustin Hillis, Andrea L. Boone, and Marcy Collier Overstreet to erect a historical marker in front of the Lottie Watkins Building, 1065 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, to honor the late Lottie Watkins, civil rights advocate, former Georgia House representative, and the first African-American woman in Atlanta to earn a real estate license, and for other purposes.
Councilmember Bond, since you are the author of this paper, I know I'm a co-sponsor. I would love if you would say a couple words, and I'll entertain a motion related to it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an effort that was started some years ago, right after the death of Lottie Watkins, who is or was a stalwart member of our community, particularly the West End community. As was detailed in the caption, she was a businesswoman, the first African-American businesswoman to own a real estate license. She had a successful real estate business for many decades. Of course, she was also one of the first African Americans reelected after Reconstruction in the 1960s. And of course, she has been involved in just about every aspect of the birth of the new Atlanta in the Ivan Allen transition from Mayor Hartsfield to the Ivan Allen era. She was a dynamic person, a great matriarch of the Watkins and Baycoat family, and the commission has recommended erecting this marker out in front of her business building, which still exists in West End. So would like to move approval.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and second that. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion is favorable, 6 yeas, 0 nays. All right, I believe we can return back to item number 14.
All right, item number 14, 22-016-26, an ordinance by council members Andrea L. Boone and Dustin Hillis authorizing the chief financial officer to make a donation to House Proud Atlanta, Inc. for the purpose of providing home repairs for seniors in an amount not to exceed $100,000.00, authorizing the mayor to enter into agreement to contribute to the funding of home repairs of seniors residing in Districts 9 and 10 through a donation to House Proud Atlanta, Inc., authorizing the chief financial officer or his designee to transfer donations in an amount not to exceed $100,000.00 as a charitable donation pursuant to the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Section 6-306, all costs to be paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Councilman Hillis.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Dozier. This is a program myself and Councilmember Boone have been doing for a few years, just appropriating money for senior home repairs, so I would ask for your support and make a motion to approve.
All right, motion by Hillis, second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion is favorable, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Next item.
Item number 16 in Section H, Resolutions, 22R4026, a resolution by Council Member Byron D. Amos, amending Resolution 14R4314, which established the City of Atlanta Public Schools Joint Committee to enhance educational outcomes, improve quality of life, and produce economic vitality in Atlanta for the purpose of amending the membership and for other purposes.
All right, Councilman Amos.
Just very quickly, a couple of years ago, there was, as I said, a resolution that was created to bring unity between the City of Atlanta and Atlanta Public Schools. Upon our first meeting last month, we realized that we was not recognized on a large portion of the help we needed, which were the counties. So we're just amending membership to add membership for Fulton County and DeKalb County. So motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Amos, second by Hillis. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion is favorable, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Next item.
Item number 17, 22R4027, a resolution by Council Member Byron D. Amos to amend Resolution number 22R3415, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on May 2nd, 2022, and approved per City Charter, Section 2-403 on May 11th, 2022, which established a short-term rental commission to promote awareness of the City of Atlanta's short-term rental policy by modifying the membership of the commission and for other purposes.
Councilman Amos.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Any discussion before we move forward with the vote? Seeing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
Motion is favorable, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Next item.
Item number 18, 22R4028, a resolution by Council Members Jason Dozier, Matt Westmoreland, Jason Winston, Michael Julian Bond, Keisha Shawn Waits, Amir Faroki, Byron D. Amos, Liliana Bakhtiari, Alex Wan, Howard Shook, Andrea L. Boone, Marcy Collier Overstreet, and Antonio Lewis, requesting that the mayor or his designee conduct a feasibility study of legacy business programs in other cities in order to create a City of Atlanta program focused on protecting and preserving legacy Atlanta-based businesses and institutions and for other purposes.
Thank you so much. Colleagues, so my team and I crafted this paper largely to respond to some of the just things we've seen across the city where a lot of our legacy businesses and legacy institutions, can't afford rents, can't afford taxes, are being displaced. And unlike many of our residents, when businesses get displaced, oftentimes they close. And I've long argued that our businesses and our business community play a significant role in our identity of who we are as a city. I'm really appreciative of the number of programs that we have available as a city related to affordable housing, protecting legacy residents. I know we have a long way to go to really get to where we need to be as a city, but what I would love to see is for the city to be as full-throated in our support of our legacy businesses and legacy institutions, which also play a role in our culture and our identity, protecting businesses like Busy Bees and The Beautiful and Criminal Records and Savage Pizza and others that are so significant in terms of our communities. And so recognizing that other cities have done this, developed legacy business programs. Los Angeles is one of the most recent ones that has gotten this off the ground. Peer cities like Birmingham and San Francisco and San Antonio have done this. I think it's time for Atlanta to do this too. And so this is essentially asking Invest Atlanta to conduct a feasibility study to see not only what other cities across the country have done, but also to make sure that it's right-sized for the City of Atlanta and to report that back to this committee so that we can move forward in making this happen for our city. So before I make the motion to approve, I know there's a couple colleagues who would like to be added to this paper. So I'll make the motion to amend to add Councilmember Dustin Hillis to this paper. I believe everyone else on the committee is on this paper as well, so no need to make any other changes beyond that. But seconded by Hillis, please open the vote.
The vote is open. And the vote is closed.
The motion to amend is adopted, 6 yeas, 0 nays. And finally, I'd like to make the motion to approve as amended. Second by Winston. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
The motion is approved as favorable as amended, 6 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you, colleagues, for your support. Next item.
Item number 19, 22R 4033, a resolution by council members Dustin Hillis and Matt Westmoreland authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate a total amount not to exceed $500,000.00 to Grove Park Renewal pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter to support the construction of deep, long-term, and affordable housing in the rapidly gentrifying Grove Park community, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into any necessary agreements to effectuate the donation, and authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make all payments from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Councilmember Hillis.
Thank you, Chairman Dozier. Just ask for the colleagues' support on this. This is a development, 75% of which will be dedicated to affordable housing, and furthermore, 12 of those 30 units are going to be permanently affordable. Sometimes many times it's 20 years limited, but again, 12 of those will be permanently affordable, and all the way down to 30% AMI on some of those units. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Hillis, second by Amos. Please open the vote.
Oh, the vote is open. And the vote is closed.
All right. Thank you. Motion is favorable, 7 yeas, 0 nays. That's not our last item, is it?
3 held items.
Thank you. Please go ahead and read those in.
3 held items, and these can be taken as a block if the committee would like to do so.
Yes, please.
Items number 20. Item number 27, 22-0-1293, CDP 22-021, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to amend the land use element of the 2021 City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to designate property at 2234 DeKalb Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia 30032 to the single-family residential land use designation and for other purposes. Item number 28, 22-0-1296, CDP 22-022, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to amend the land use element of the 2021 City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to designate property at 1162 Oakfield Drive, 1165, 1166, and 1177 Oakfield Drive, Southeast Atlanta 30316 to the single-family residential land use designation and for other purposes. And item number 29, 22-0-1299, CDP 22023, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to amend the land use element of the 2021 City of Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to designate property at 2004 Swayze Drive, Decatur, Georgia 30032 to the single-family residential land use designation and for other purposes.
All right. Jessica Lavendier from the Department of Planning will be speaking to this.
Yes, thank you. Jessica Lavendier, thank you. These are 3 annexations. One parcel is vacant, one has a single-family home, and the other one also have single-family home. And that's the zoning and land use in DeKalb County. So when they come into the city, they'll have a single-family residential land use. So,
any comments or questions from colleagues? Motion by Bakhtiari, second by Dozier. Please open the vote.
thank you.
The vote is open. The vote is closed.
The motion is favorable, 7 yeas, 0 nays. Well, that was our last legislative item. All right, no bill refer items, so we'll move into general remarks. Any general remarks from colleagues? Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to announce this week's Hello Fresh will be at the Harriet G. Darnell Senior Center at 677 Fairburn Road. Co-hosting this week's events is Fulton County Commissioner Natalie Hall and Fulton County Sheriff Patrick LaPotte. And of course, there's no prerequisite to receive this help. We're partnered with Second Helpings Atlanta and HelloFresh and Pratt Industries. We distribute about 8,000 meals a week through our partners, and this drive up, walk up, if you don't need the help, please pass the information along to someone who does. Food insecurity is a real issue in our city, unfortunately, and Atlanta is the #2 city in the country for inflation, and that includes groceries, unfortunately. So it's 3 p.m. at the Harriet G. Darnell Senior Center, 677 Fairburn Road, Northwest, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Councilmember Bond. Any other colleagues? Before we wrap up, I have a few announcements as well. The first one is that Community Development and Human Services Committee, jointly with the Finance and Executive Committee, will be hosting a work session on the HOPWA grant program. Colleagues, if you remember, we did one of these work sessions back in March, I believe, so this is a follow-up to that work session. It will be held here in Committee Room 1 at 9 o'clock a.m. Hope you all will join us. Secondly, colleagues, I know at the beginning of the year, we looked at committee goals, and I asked that you all take a look at that list. We'll make sure that gets sent back out to the committee and see where there's some opportunity to try to address some of the goals that we approved back in January. And then finally, we made mention of it earlier today, but I do want to acknowledge the individuals that were victimized in the shooting at Bozell Bernie Park in Mechanicsville on Sunday. Park safety is something that transcends committees, it transcends neighborhoods, and it's something that I know our committee and Public Safety Committee will be working on in the coming months and through the rest of the term. But I do want to acknowledge that was a tragedy for our community in Mechanicsville and District 4, and want to invite members of the public and members of this committee and members and active members of the City of Atlanta to join us for a peace rally that will be held just outside the park at Windsor Plaza, 307 Richardson Street. That will be at 6:30. That rally is being hosted by Cure Violence, Chris 180, and the Urban Advocate. So I hope you will join us, and look forward to working together to make our city a safer place for everyone. That's today. Yes, sir. All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.